So recording this. Okay, so guys, thank you for coming along. Follow on Technique Matters. Tonight we're going to be looking at breaststroke. Again, by myself, May 2020. Okay, so same as the back row one, what we're going to do is we're going to let's hear from Amy. Okay, so we all know who Amy Wilmot is. Commonwealth gold medalist over in Gold Coast for the 400 IM. Is English but trains at the University of Stirling. Okay, so if we click on this, and I'm hoping you guys should be able to see that video. So somebody just drops me a little message just to let me know. I'll just wait just to get confirmation that you can see the video in the small screen there. Perfect, okay. So we'll just maximize that. And we'll play it there.
Hi, my name is Amy Wilmot and I'm here to talk to you about breaststroke swimming. I'm a Team 2B international swimmer and recently won gold in the 400 individual medley at the Commonwealth Games. Breaststroke is a
Sorry guys, I tried to get rid of an ad there.
key part of my race, so I'm here to share my best tips with you. First, let's talk about our breaststroke kick. We're going to start talking as if we're starting in the glide position of the stroke. So our toes should be pointed out in front, facing the opposite end of the pool, reaching as far away from our body as possible. The first thing we do is we bend our knees under the body. We don't want to bend our knees out to the side as this opens up our body and causes more drag. As we bring our knees under our body, our toes want to fall slightly apart and our feet should be flexed, with the soles of our feet ready to push away as much water as possible. Now for the whip part of the kick. Our legs sweep slightly outwards and down as our toes point at the end of the kick, drawing our knees and our heels together. Both of our legs should do exactly the same thing at the same time. If one of our legs moves before the other, if you were to compete, you would be disqualified. So both feet and legs and knees have to do exactly the same thing. A large amount of power comes from our whip kick, so it is important to get it right, as this helps with our upper body part of the stroke. The better you get at your breaststroke kick, the better your breaststroke in turn. The breaststroke arm pull can be broken into 3 different stages. The catch, which is where the hand begins to pull, the propulsive phase, which is where we generate power, and the recovery phase, where we return our arms back to the beginning of the stroke. The catch phase starts at the beginning of the stroke, when our arms are fully extended, hands together. They sweep slightly out at a 45-degree angle, and the position of our elbow should be slightly on top. A common mistake people make is to pull slightly too far out with their breaststroke arms. You want to pull your arms just wider than shoulder width, no further. This is where we start the propulsive phase of our stroke. Our arms sweep slightly down whilst under while our elbows remain high, and this is where we add our breath. At this point of the stroke, we bring our arms down and our head lifts up with our chest. We don't nod our head to breathe, our chest and our head moves as one. Our elbows then tuck under the body as we dive forward into the recovery phase of our stroke, back into streamline. The key thing to remember in breaststroke is we dive out and not down. If we dive down, our bum comes up to the surface and our leg kick isn't as strong. So it's really important to stay streamlined along the surface of the water and not dive up and down. In streamline, it is really important to keep our head tucked down. We don't want our chin too far down on our chest or our head looking forward. To maintain the best streamline position, we want to be neutral, with our elbows over our ears. The timing of our breaststroke is really important. Putting our arms and legs together is difficult. If you can work to the timing of pull, breathe, kick, and glide, timing of your breaststroke becomes efficient, and you also end up with maximum power. If you are pulling and kicking at exactly the same time, you are in a very unstreamlined position. The fastest part of the stroke is when you are kicking and gliding at the same time. This is the most propulsive part of the stroke, which is where we go the fastest, and the best swimmers in the world have some of the best kicks. So the timing of your breaststroke is really important to maximize this phase. Let us know how you get on with your breaststroke technique, and I hope some of these top tips help you today. Leave us a comment and let us know.
Okay guys, so that was Amy talking a little bit through breaststroke technique there. Because if we look at the mechanics, guys, as with everything, we break our strokes down into different sections, okay? So first of all, the body position. As Amy said, you do want your hips nice and high, but you also want that body to be as streamlined as possible, okay? So that means head high, head down. Okay, so hips high, head down. Some people do a kind of nodding dog thing. That is not what we're looking for. A lot of people prefer to keep their eyes looking down, keep their head in that same position, so that as they come up, they're going straight back down. Breaststroke is the one stroke where you are going to get lots of resistance, so it is important that you try and minimise that by getting back into that streamlined position as quickly as possible. The pull, still important in breaststroke, becoming slightly more important with people having faster stroke rates. Before it was all about the kick, the pull is starting to get a little bit of a comeback now as well. So what we're looking for is the first part I said, we sweep out slightly, is kind of staging your pull. So that's you getting ready, getting into the best position in order to then pull back, okay? Same with all the other strokes, we are looking at making contact with the water with our hands and our forearms. Coming in nice and tight. A lot of people, they pull too wide and too far back. Okay, so as you said, you don't want to go too wide, you want to come out around about where your shoulders are, because that's the strongest position. If you go out, you're not using your strongest muscles there, okay? That would be the equivalent of you trying to climb out the pool, but having your hands as wide apart as possible, okay? So you don't want your hands as wide apart as possible, you want them just at shoulder width, because that's where you would put them if you were pushing yourself out the pool, if you're climbing out. That's the best and the strongest position. We talked about the recovery coming forward with the pull. Again, it's about keeping that as tight as possible. So nothing coming back past your shoulders. Okay, you don't want to pull all the way back to your belly button there. We want to be using our biggest muscles when we're doing our pull, because they're the strongest ones. So if you come too far back, you're starting to use your weaker muscles. So you're not getting anything from it and you're wasting time there. Okay, so not too far back, not too wide, using our nice muscles, and then keeping that streamlining nice and tight. It's about the least amount of resistance possible through that recovery phase. So you want to keep everything tight, squeezing it all in together, but nice and relaxed. As we said with the breathing, that should be quite natural. You come up, as you come up to pull, as you pull, your shoulders automatically come out the water. That's when we breathe, okay? We're not needing to move the head up and down. So pull, we breathe, and then as we're driving forward into that streamlined position, that's where the kick comes in. Kick is vital in breaststroke. They do say 70% of propulsion comes from the kick, 30% from pull. It is the one stroke where the majority of the propulsion does come from the kick. The kick has changed over the years. It used to be quite a wide kick. They've now started doing a narrower kick, particularly with the likes of Adam Peaty coming through. Kicks are getting narrower because they realise the way you go, you're then having to kick your legs together, but you're not actually getting anything from that. You're wanting to maximise the actual kicking backwards phase. Again, wanting to use the inside of your foot and up the inside of your calf. Okay, so you should be practicing from kicking from your knee basically, all the way down the inside of your leg and all the way out to your toe. Finishing with those toes pointed, feet raising up to the top of the water, okay? I've put stroke length in here purely because breaststroke is the one stroke where the strokes really change depending upon the distance that you're swimming. If you're swimming a 50-metre breaststroke, you will see a completely different stroke to one that's a 200. That's why you'll find some people are naturally suited to 50 and 100. Some are more naturally suited to the 100, 200. Very seldom do you get someone who is outstanding at the 50 and the 200 because the strokes are slightly different. Over the 50, it's more about the stroke rate. Over the 200, it's really about that glide, because as you get older and you start to produce lactate, your legs are the biggest muscles in the body, and they're where the lactate really builds up. So if you're trying to maintain your stroke rate from a 50 breaststroke over a 200, your legs are just going to seize up in agony. Okay, so it's important, the longer distances, that we really get that stroke length in there and we're really maximising the glide using the propulsion from the kick there. Okay, If we have a little look here. Okay, the basics. So this was the video where I can't get the video link to actually work through this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop share there. And we're going to go on to this one here. Okay, so this is a video from Speedo, talking us through our breaststroke technique. So I'll just rewind that back there slightly. And here we go.
The correct body position allows you to become more streamlined, improving your efficiency in the water. To keep your body as straight as possible from your head to your hips, position your head facing forwards and tilted slightly downwards. Pull your stomach in, aiming to keep your back as straight as possible and your hips as close to the surface of the water as possible. Breathing technique delivers oxygen to your muscles and helps you to swim more comfortably and efficiently. As your arms start the pull phase, lift your head out of the water and breathe in through your mouth. Keep your head and shoulders relaxed and free from tension. As you extend your arms forward on the recovery phase, submerge your head into the water and exhale slowly through your nose or mouth. The stronger your kick technique, the more propulsion you will achieve and the faster you'll be able to swim as a result. Flex your foot, pulling your toes towards your shins at the start of the kick, while keeping your heels as close to your bottom as possible. As your legs extend outwards and backwards, push the water backwards with the soles of your feet to accelerate and propel your body forwards. Point your toes at the end of the kick. As your legs straighten and your ankles come together, aim to get the soles of your feet to face each other as much as ankle flexibility will allow. To complete the recovery phase of the kick, bend your legs, keeping your knees as close together as possible while bringing your heels up towards your bottom. Keep your body relaxed as you move through the stroke. A kickboard can be used to help isolate your legs in order to focus on your kick technique. How to improve your stroke technique for a faster, more efficient swim. Extend your arms at the front of the stroke with your hands turned slightly outwards. Keeping your elbows high, sweep your arms outwards, focusing on catching as much water as possible with your hands. Accelerate your arms backwards, continuing your hold on the water until your hands and forearms sweep inwards in front of your body. With your elbows tucked in, extend your arms to the front of the stroke, keeping them as close together as possible. Finger paddles can be used to help focus on improving your catch position and your arm pull. A pull buoy can be used to help you to focus on improving your arm pull.
Okay guys, if we stop share that and then we go back into our actual presentation, which is here. There we go. Right, so you'll have noticed a couple of things there, okay? The first thing was how long he was holding the glide, okay? I would say that stroke is more geared towards your 200 than it would be towards your 50, because there was quite a long glide in there. as well. He was diving down slightly. As Amy said, we want to be more kind of diving forward, okay? Undulation was always very important with butterfly and breaststroke, but now they are trying to, although they want the undulation, they are trying to minimise the up and down movement, okay? You'll notice with the kick as well, that although you're moving the knees slightly, you're not bringing your knees right up underneath your chest, okay? So we don't want to see the knees coming up underneath our chest. His kick wasn't too bad there, although nowadays they do tend to use more of the inside of the leg for the kick as well, like I was saying to you there. But a nice stroke, broke it down quite simply, I think, which is sometimes the best way to think about it, because if we get the basics right, then everything else can kind of come from there, okay? Now we're going to have a little look at the transitions. So we're going to have a little look at the starts and turns. With your starts, breaststroke is obviously from a dive. We're looking at getting the best start possible, okay? So from your dives off the blocks, it's about getting into the position that works for you. Again, this will be based on your flexibility and where your strengths lie. A lot of people grip the blocks, but then there's a lot of tension there. People nowadays are starting to use their hands quite flat against the front of the block, so that they're then getting the push back. Rather than pulling up, they're using that momentum there to push back on the blocks with their hands, really driving with the legs, and you really want to throw yourself out there and get into that streamlined position as quickly as possible, okay? Now, the thing with breaststroke underwater phase, unlike the other strokes, there is no maximum distance that you can travel underwater. However, it's about finding what works for you. Now, you're not wanting to rush your underwater phase. So as you hit the water, that is the fastest you're ever going to be moving, is when you first enter that water from the dive. If you get your dive right, that should be the fastest you're ever moving. So you don't want to just go straight into that dolphin kick. You're wanting to hold that glide just before you feel yourself start to slow down. That's where the kick comes in to maintain the momentum. Then we come into the breaststroke underwater phase. It's about not rushing it, but not holding the positions that long that you start to slow down too much, okay? So we will have a little look at the start and we'll have a little look at the underwater phase, okay? Before I go on to talk about the turns. So I'll have a little click on here. And we'll go into here. And if we have a little look at this one here.
Welcome to the British Swimming National Development Syllabus. This video will look at the breaststroke start. We will use various camera angles to best capture the technical elements of the skill. At the take your marks command, from a standing position, lean down and hold the platform with both hands. On go, this swimmer uses her upper body power effectively, pulling forwards and down with both hands. This hand movement is neglected by many swimmers who simply lift their hands off the block. On entry, the hands, arms, head, shoulders, torso, hips, thighs, legs and feet should all enter through the same hole.
Okay guys, so a lot of people, when they do their breaststroke start, they start to lift their head up too early to look where they're going when they're under the water. You'll notice the girl there, she kept that head down, eyes were in the bottom of the pool until she came up to take that first stroke. You'll notice as well how tight the streamlining was to maximise the use of the blocks there. If you were looking carefully, you'll also notice that some of the blocks there are our blocks. Obviously not the ones with the backboards because we're not posh enough to have those ones. But our blocks were in the picture there as well. But a nice start there, getting good momentum off the diving blocks, entering very cleanly, lovely streamlining, and making the most out of every part of the breaststroke again. So what we'll do is we'll have a little look at the male elite. Okay, so we'll have a little look at the senior male here for his. Should see a bit more power in this one.
Welcome to the British Swimming National Development Syllabus. This video will look at the breaststroke start. We will use various camera angles to best capture the technical elements of the skill. At take your marks, the hips should be raised and the knees comfortably bent, avoiding a deep knee bend. As you can see from this example, the athlete's knee bend creates a near 90-degree angle. During flight, the swimmer should strive to dive out, not up. However, while distance from the block is a consideration, the ability to prepare for a clean entry is more important. Once underwater, hold the tight, squeezy streamline. Do not break the hands or relax the elbows, shoulders, hips or knees. Do not allow the feet to sink after entry.
Okay, so as I said there guys, when you're on the blocks, you're wanting your hips as high as you can possibly have them. Again, that does come down to flexibility. Some people find it a lot easier to get into that nice high hip position than others do. But again, flexibility is something you can be working at home in order to maximise getting into the right starting position there. He did say about getting the distance of the blocks. Again, as he said, we're not wanting to jeopardise how clean our entry is. So if we're going out too far, you're possibly going to be getting a little bit almost of a belly flop, or your heels coming down and hitting the water. We're wanting that nice clean entry, so it is finding where's right for you. Everybody's entry point is going to be slightly different, and as you get bigger and stronger, that entry point should move further out as you become more efficient with your dives. You'll notice there he did his dolphin kick as he did his pull down. When they first brought in the dolphin kicks, that's all we were allowed to do. Dolphin kicks weren't allowed at all when I did breaststroke, but then they brought it in that you could do one dolphin kick as you pulled down. Now you can either do it before you pull down or as you pull down, and again, it's working out what works best for you. What works for one might not work for another. Okay, so it's working out what's the fastest for you and when to implement that breaststroke kick. Again, kept the head down all the way through the underwater phase and really made the most of each part. You'll notice when he did the recovery, as they came up with the kick. Really squeeze the elbows into the body, really keeping them as tight as they can. What you'll see a lot of the senior athletes do is they turn their palms of their hands round, and their hands are actually coming up so close to their face that you could practically just fit a piece of paper in there to separate. It's about keeping it as tight as they can because they're wanting to make themselves as narrow as they can in that water. Okay, so small differences like that can make a big difference later on. So you should be starting to practice those things now, so that the time you get older, that's all your body knows and it automatically does that. So it's all about making those little changes, guys. Right, we'll have a little look at the turns, okay? Breaststroke turns are open turns. So ideally we should be finishing on a full stroke, head down. You don't want to be too close to the wall, you don't want to be gliding in. So it is about spotting that turn from early on out. Again, that comes with practice and making sure you're nailing your turns every single time in training. The more you practice spotting your turns and finishes, the more reliable you will be at finishing on a full stroke. Because we don't want to waste time by taking an extra little half stroke. We have seen medals lost, both at district and national championships recently. I won't mention names, but we know who we are, because we thought we would be better off getting an extra little stroke in there. Okay, so we need to practice finishing on that full stroke for your turns as well as your finish, guys, okay? What you then see happen is the knees coming up as quickly as you can. And as the knees come up, that'll then kind of push you backwards, okay? But rather than me going through it, we'll have a little look at the turns here. So what we'll do is we will have a little look at we're in starch. So we want to go back to turns. Again, love this website. They post lots of good stuff on here. And they talk you through it, which is even better. Okay, so we'll have a little look at the male turn here, the age group male. So again, age group swimmers are still developing, so there will still be things there to improve on. But this is kind of more round about your stage than what the elite swimmers are.
Welcome to the British Swimming National Development Schools. This video will look at the breaststroke turn. We'll use various camera angles to best capture the technical elements of the skill.
Sorry guys, just freezing a little bit here.
On the touch, both hands should hit the wall simultaneously. They must be separated. They cannot overlap with one hand on top of the other. Otherwise, only one hand has touched. But they do not need to be at the same height as each other. One could be above the waterline and the other one below the waterline. The push should be horizontal, neither upwards nor downwards, and should take the swimmer underneath the wave which follows them into the wall.
Okay guys, so a few things first of all there that I would like to point out to you. Firstly, with regards to the technique, obviously as just a young boy there, he is diving down slightly too far, and you'll see as well that the knees are coming up slightly too far under the body as well. Okay, so that's probably something his coach is telling him to work on there. As well as that, there was a slight glide into the turn, and you'll notice that he lifts his head slightly as he touches the wall, which causes the hips to drop. So the hips are actually quite low when he's touching the wall, and he kind of then turn to the side, okay? The fastest way to approach the wall is as if you are a bouncy ball, okay? So you're going to bounce in and bounce back. So what you do as you come in, you keep that head down, the knees come straight underneath you at force. The one arm comes back, the other arm we're keeping in nice and tight, so we're going straight backwards rather than turning round the side, keeping everything as tight as we can, and then we twist as we come off the wall, okay? So he was kind of going to the side, their hips a little bit low. We want the hips to be nice and high, head down as we touch the wall, then really swinging those knees under, getting into that seated position on the wall, just like we looked at the other day. Seated position on the wall, right angle kind of in at your knees, and then really getting that good push off the wall. The underwater phase was nice, the streamlining was there, you got good propulsion from each part. Did lift the head slightly just before it broke the surface of the water though, okay? But as I said, that will all be a work in progress for him because he is just a young boy there, okay? So now we'll have a little look at the senior female's turn and see if she's picked up in those things and is doing anything different.
Welcome to the British Women National Development Syllabus. This video will look at the breaststroke turn. We'll use various camera angles to best capture the technical elements of the skill.
See the hips aren't coming up under the body and diving forward rather than down. Keeping the head right down till just as she surfaces the water there. Stop drawing on my screen, guys. Diving forward.
On the approach, the swimmer must spot the wall at least 5 meters before the turn, so the touch is made with perfect stroke timing. The final stroke takes the hands purposefully onto the wall at almost full extension and with no time wasting or speed sapping glide. After the rotation, the feet should touch at the same time as the top arm enters the water. Both feet should hit the wall at the same time with toes pointing sideways and the body facing sideways. On the touch, swimmers ready themselves for the change of direction, so the hands are often at different heights, as well as the shoulders being slightly turned at the last moment before the touch.
Okay guys, so you'll see there, she wasn't diving down, she was diving forward and keeping that nice high position there. Again, the knees weren't coming underneath her body as much as the little boy in the previous clip. So the kick was a lot more efficient and a lot more streamlined there. As well, when she touched the wall, she was in a much better body position. The head was down and the hips were nice and high. So she wasn't dropping them down. She was nice and flat there when she touched the wall. You'll have seen as well that rather than turning to the side, she brought those knees right under and the head was going backwards, okay? The head was going backwards there as soon as possible into the position that she wanted to go. So a much more efficient turn, but as I said, she has more experience there, so it is a case of putting that into practice, guys, okay? So here we'll have a little look. Okay, we finished off last week by having a little look at an Olympic final. Tonight is no different. We're going to have a little look again at the 200 breaststroke. So again, as I said, slightly different from the 50 breaststroke technique. You will see a long